Hello and welcome to Cereal at Midnight. I'm Heath, and in this episode we're talking about something truly special, and I mean that in the most literal sense. So we're talking about The Limey, a 1999 Steven Soderbergh movie. So after Out of Sight, Steven Soderbergh makes The Limey, and it kind of flies under the radar. And it gets a DVD release in 2000, and then kind of no one talks about it. It disappears into the background. And then Soderbergh goes on to make Aaron Brockovich and Traffic and Ocean's 11, 12, 13, Solaris. This movie's still kind of an obscurity in Soderbergh's career, where just not a lot of people are discovering it, because it was only on DVD for so long. It wasn't really part of the disc conversation either. So now, 2022, The Limey is making a 4K and a Blu-ray debut in the United States with this new Steelbook from Lionsgate, and I am excited. I love this movie. I loved it in 1999, but I gotta tell you, with all the years in between, what I know about Soderbergh now, what I know about the craft of filmmaking, this is a truly special movie. And it's something that it's kind of mind-boggling that Lionsgate is delivering this in this pristine 4K package. And it is pristine. The video quality here is through the roof. It's off the charts. It's shot on 35 millimeter, so the grain is beautiful and the colors are gorgeous. It looks so good. It sounds great too. The soundtrack is a big part of this movie. It's got music. So we'll get into the movie. I do want to do an actual movie review, but music plays a big part here. The music of the 60s. We open up with The Who. We've got Magic Carpet Ride is in this movie. It's a look at the 60s, right? So what is this movie? The Limey is about Terrence Stamp, who has arrived in Los Angeles to investigate the death of his daughter, who he didn't really know. He's been in prison most of his life. The film opens with the line, "Tell me about Ginny." That's the whole movie. So he's trying to figure out what happened to Ginny, and he just goes from person to person, working his way up till he gets to who knows about Ginny. It's super violent. There's a high body count here, but it's also more quiet, contemplative, almost meditative movie about trying to get better, trying to be better, but also knowing what you are, knowing that you are willing to kill to get the answers that you want. There was talk about Terrence Stamp getting an Oscar nomination, but sadly. So Terrence Stamp, Zod, right, from Superman. He was the voice of Jor-El on Smallville. Most recently, as I'm recording this video, Terrence Stamp was in Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright's film, which is about the zeitgeist of 60s London, right? About Soho in the 60s. And Terrence Stamp's casting in that was not an accident, because he was at the center. The actor himself was at the center of that entire swinging London scene in the 1960s. The fashion, the music, the clubs, everything. Terrence Stamp was one of the poster children for that. He was as cool gets. He was as popular as popular. Magazine covers, articles, leading films. I would compare him with anybody that we have in the spotlight now. He was just an absolute star. So this is that guy 30 years later, with all this swinging 60s history, looking for what happened to his daughter. What happened to Ginny? Tell me about Ginny. If you know the Killers song, Ginny was a friend of mine from their first album. I think that's influenced by this movie. I don't know that for sure, but it lines up too well. So there's interesting things to talk about with The Limey. And we are going to I'm going to show you the Steelbook. We're going to talk about the special features. But I want to talk a little bit more about the movie, because I'm going to say this more and more. I don't want the format to lead our conversations. I want the movie itself to lead our conversations. And we'll cover format too, but this is an amazing movie. So what Soderbergh starts to do in a movie like Out of Sight with Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney, you see him messing around with time a little bit, the way he edits things together. Specifically, Jennifer Lopez comes to George Clooney about midway through the movie, and you see that they're going to go to bed together, but like as they're talking, we cut to scenes of them in bed together. So he's messing with time. This movie is that to the nth degree. So he would shoot, I'm going to say like 3 different versions of a scene, maybe even more than that. But say there's a conversation, what happened to Jenny, right? You shoot part of it in a car, you shoot part of it on the roof, you shoot part of it outside or in the park, and then you cut it all together so it's one conversation in multiple different locations. Tell me what happened to Ginny, and then we cut to, that's in a car, right? Then we cut to a restaurant. What do you mean, what happened to Ginny? And then we're on the roof. I said I want to know what happened to my daughter. So it's one continuous conversation, but obviously we're messing around with perception because it's different locations. It's just this really interesting way. Soderbergh's always messed with the format, and I love that. Why does a movie have to be this one particular thing? He shot movies on iPhone. He did an iPhone movie. I love the experimental nature of it, but it's probably never more pronounced than it is here. And they do something else that's very interesting. So we flash back to Terrence Stamp in the 60s. He's basically a career criminal. And in one of when we flash back, we see clips of him from a 1967 movie called Poor Cow, where he is 1967 Terrence Stamp. So rather than an actor portraying him, it's really him from a 1960s movie. It's amazing. The way that this all cuts together, can you tell? I love this. This is what I love about movies. This is cinema. This is stuff that's really special. It's not popcorn fare. It's not just, it's 90 minutes. I'll kill 90 minutes with this movie. It makes you feel things. It messes with the format in the best of ways. It's ambitious. It strives beyond its format. It strives beyond its limitations. But because of that, it's maybe it's a movie for filmmakers and for people that really, really, really love movies, and not for the general public, not for the mainstream audience. So I think that's the cost and why we haven't really heard much about the Limey over the last 22, 23 years. But now Lionsgate, in a mystifying act, but one that I love, has presented this to us on 4K and on Blu-ray, double format debut. There was a Blu-ray, there's been Blu-rays in Europe and in other places, but in the United States where the movie was made, we never got a Blu-ray. It's been the entire Blu-ray lifespan. I mean, the lifespan's still going, but 15 years, no Limey. So finally, in this gorgeous edition, it's got two commentaries that are carried over from the DVD. So they're 22 years old, but in the first commentary, so it's Steven Soderbergh and the writer Lim Dobbs, and it's very informative because they're talking about locations, they're talking about Terrence Stamp's career, they're talking about the dialogue. They argue in this commentary, does this work? I think it works. I don't think it works. You should have done this. Well, we should have done this. Multiple times. It transcends. You couldn't do this in a commentary now because they want to control the narrative on these things. The studios want to control the narrative. We're in the age of the fluff, the fluffy special feature, but this has substance to it. And that's another thing that I really admire about Soderbergh. Has a second commentary that's kind of cut together from multiple audio interviews with the cast. So, audio commentary by Steven Soderbergh, Lim Dobbs, and actress Peter Fonda, who's a record executive in the movie that knows what happened to Jenny. Terrence Stamp, Barry Newman, Leslie Ann Warren, who is, if you only know Leslie Ann Warren from her comedic roles, maybe even TV stuff like that, this movie is a revelation because she's absolutely magnificent. The pathos, I love this movie. There's also an isolated score, which is great because, as I was mentioning, the audio is just a huge, it's as big a part as the visuals. All right, so let's talk about the Steelbook itself. For some, they're going to be like, it's okay. But if you know the movie, it's not okay. It's excellent. So here's the Steelbook. I think the bars represent prison. We've got black and white Terrence Stamp. We have the other image here is his daughter. Here's the back of the package, by the way. Hopefully that shows up on camera. Red on black, that can be difficult. But, all right, the Steelbook itself, the smoke coming out of his mouth, it's all representative, man. It's all representative. The one image is a burning car. Another image is his daughter. Inside, here we have the digital code. Peter Fonda from a very pivotal moment of the movie. Here's the discs themselves, the 4K and the Blu-ray. And beneath that is this image. And again, if you know the film, it all makes sense and it's beautiful. So it's not a showy, flashy movie. It's not popcorn cinema. But that's what I love about it. And like I said, I love this movie in 1999. I knew I was seeing something important, and I knew that this was something that was not, it wasn't, Con Air or something like that. But in the intervening years, I have really come to love this. And then watching this now with everything that I know about Soderbergh, everything I know about how movies are made, more importantly, how movies are not made anymore, this is a really special movie. I think that's the third time that I've used that word to describe the Limey, but I mean it. It's a really unique, special movie. It's probably not for everybody, but for the people that it is for, It's really magnificent. It's not like anything else. There's nothing else like the Limey. Bloody, violent, high body count, but also smart, sad, ultimately a little heartbreaking and a little hopeful. That's the pull quote for the poster review for the Limey from Cereal at Midnight. Guys, I love it. This is probably going to be on my best of the year list just because, it's not a box set. It's not this huge, ambitious thing. It's just a movie that I love that I never thought I'd see on 4K. I'd actually given up hope of it ever coming to Blu-ray. So I could not be happier. The Limey, check it out. Guys, let's talk about this movie in the comments below. If you've seen it, I want to know what you think about it. Thanks so much for watching this episode. You know what? I'm going to put a link in the description for the Limey too. So if you want to support Cereal at Midnight, you can use that link and you'll be kicking us a small percentage of that and getting something pretty fantastic. So thank you so much. Take care. Until next time, I will catch you later.